And happy Tuesday, North Central Washington. It is the 24th day of October 2017. Thanks for starting your day with us here on the NCB Live channel. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz, your host for the next hour, alongside my friend and colleague, News Director Steve Hare. Good Tuesday to you, Steve.
Record year, you say, last year?
No, it wasn't a record year. It was just a big snow year.
Big snow year.
Big snow year.
We're having a little debate here about
Steve doesn't remember last winter, which is concerning me because the reason we brought all this up is the National Weather Service issued their long-term forecast for this upcoming winter, and they're fairly confident it's going to be a La Nina year, which means the jet stream is going to be right over the top of the valley, and we're going to have a wetter than normal winter and a colder than normal winter, which is what we had last year. So we'll talk about that when we get to that. It is, of course, the opening day of the 113th World Series, America's greatest sporting event, bar none, in my opinion, is the World Series. And for the next 10 days or so, I get to enjoy baseball at its finest, I hope.
Dodger Blue.
Go
Hoping they
Astros.
can do it. But I'll hedge my bet and, bet on the Astros.
The Astros were a National League team. I'm an American League guy, so with when my team, in this case the Yankees, is not in the playoffs, or in this case the World Series, they've been eliminated, I always cheer by rule for the American League team, whoever it happens to be. I still associate the Astros with the National League because they were in the National League from the time they began until just a couple of years ago. So it feels like almost two National League teams to me are playing in the World Series.
For me, I will always root for the West Coast team.
Right.
Okay, over the East Coast. I don't care who's playing. Mm-hmm. I'll always vote for the West Coast team because of the prestige,
Yeah. I can't cheer for the Dodgers. Sorry, Steve, I can't do it.
Well, I know that. Just like I can't root for the Yankees.
And I understand, nor would I expect you to.
Yeah.
Nor would I expect you to.
Friendly rivalry.
It's going to be 100 degrees at first pitch in Los Angeles today.
94.
Oh, 94. Okay.
94 now.
Either way, it's going to be hot.
But it feels like 102,
Yeah, it feels like 102.
It's a dry heat.
Busy show for you today. We do have the weather forecast, cameras around the valley. Steve has news, a very interesting Eastmont School Board meeting last night.
To say the least.
We'll talk about that also. There was a bit of protesting going on in downtown Wenatchee. Lots to touch on. My guest in the second half of the show, Jessica Arroyo from Health Alliance Northwest. She's the community liaison. And Mariah Brown from the Confluence Health Education Coordinator will be joining me to talk about Medicare.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
If you're 65 and older, it's time to start choosing your plan for the upcoming year because it's going on right now, the enrollment period. We'll talk about that. It'll be a good conversation. Looking forward to it. Sports, we got a lot of sports to get to. We got live sports tonight. We have birthdays, the obscure holiday, today in history. And Mike McDonough's opinion today is about celebrity endorsements. I'm a celebrity. I don't endorse anything.
You don't? No. I haven't endorsed anything, and I don't think anybody would want me to endorse them.
And who's kidding you? We're not celebrities out there, so it works out good either way. Let's go around the Wenatchee Valley, North Central Washington with our cameras. We should have some spectacular views today because there's not a cloud in the sky. Beautiful day. High pressure is up there. Look at that, Steve. That's the Wenatchee Valley, of course.
Jewel case.
Beautiful. This is why we call home. And whenever I interview somebody on this program who are new to the valley, I say, what brought you here? And they say, it's a beautiful place to live. And it is a beautiful place to live.
Yeah.
Good morning, Wenatchee Valley proper. And from this point forward, you and I find out together what our cameras are, because Caitlin, our producer, decides.
Down across Old Station?
That's Badger Mountain. Badger Mountain, looking, you can see Omi Garden, you can see Sunny Slope, obviously, looking right up the valley on our way through Cashmere.
Right up into the enchantments.
Right up into the enchantments, which, by the way, is just enchanting.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's Mountain Stewart there, by the way, on the right, I believe.
Yes, it is, I believe. Camera number 3 takes us to Union Valley. Good morning, Lake Chelan. Good to have you on board.
Shot.
Just to get you an idea of where you're looking at, Chelan, the town proper, would be to your left. It's off the screen. Beautiful Lake Chelan. And finally, camera 4. And that is Billy Goat Ridge.
Yeah, looking down the Pateras.
Isn't that just beautiful? I'd build a house right there, but my guess is the commute's a bit much. I wonder how long.
You can't go up for a pizza, can you?
Yeah, no, oh boy, we're out of milk. I guess I have to go to the store. And I admire people who live that. I know a number of people who live out, for lack of a better term, in the boonies. And it takes a certain kind of attitude, a savoir-faire. What it really takes is planning. Because just like I said, you're making a recipe and you need a pound of butter and you don't have any butter and it's 60 miles to the grocery store. You have to be able to plan on that.
That's right. Or snow removal and that type
That kind of deal. I've always admired people who can do that as as a way of lifestyle. I kudos to you folks who do that. 5 minutes after the hour, from the National Weather Service, here's your weather forecast, and it looks like this. Beautiful. There is a high pressure ridge. Right now, Steve, it's flat, which means a little bitty, just tiny little system's going to come through Wednesday. It doesn't really affect us much at all. The farther east you go, Spokane and the Idaho Panhandle are going to get a little bit of rain. We'll be fine. And then the high pressure will build back up again. And this time, that high pressure ridge will start building up on Thursday. It's going to be a dome, and it's going to stick around for quite some time.
Might see a little bit of haze. They're doing some prescribed burning, I understand, on the National Forest, especially up in the Entiat area. About 50 acres are going to be burning off today, as I understand.
Okay.
Some piles up there, so you may see a little bit of smoky haze in that area.
But what the National Weather Service really was talking about yesterday with their weekly briefing is La Nina, the pattern. That's what it looks like. You can see where the jet stream is, which, by the way, goes right over the top of us. And so they think most of this winter, they're about 65% sure that we're going to have a La Nina pattern. What does that mean? This is what it means. As you look at the next slide, that's what we're looking at. 55 to 65% chance of La Nina conditions. What does that mean? Temperatures near to below, but the big deal, above average precipitation is probably going to happen, and above average snowfall is going to happen. That's what they think. And of course, when it comes to springtime, with all that snow in the mountains and some down here in the valley, flood stage is a distinct possibility. This would be the second year in a row of a La Nina watch is in effect, and they're fairly confident it's going to happen. So if you remember last winter, it'll be back if the National Weather Service long-term prediction holds true. And kudos to those guys, because for the most part, when they do their long-term forecasts for each season, they're pretty much right on.
I'm thinking back of that picture of me interviewing Kent Sisson there on the bridge. Remember
So
how cold it
cold.
was at the ice dam?
I was Steve's cameraman. It was just a couple of days into the new year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we went out. We went out on the pedestrian bridge, which was actually closed, but Kent let us on there, and we interviewed Steve, and that's where the Wenatchee met the Columbia was all frozen over, and we were all frozen over. It took me about 3 days to warm myself back up again.
Brace yourself for another
It's going
winter.
to happen again, just a heads up on that. 7.5 minutes after the hour. You want to be informed of what's going on if you're watching this program. By default, you do. Steve Hare will have your news when we come back. Live from Studio 2 in downtown Wenatchee, watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
Having a relationship with your pediatrician is so important. Feeling that sense of trust, that is priceless. I tell everybody about CBCH. I love it there. When I make an appointment, I don't have to take an entire day off. As a working mom, my life is really busy. Family time is everything. That's what we all work towards. And I feel like CBCH respects that.
My name is McKenna Schwab from the Max Bayer Foundation. Make a Difference Day is Saturday, October 28th, and for my project, I'm super excited to be benefiting Camp Corey, a camp for kids like me with life-altering medical conditions. Join me for a 1-hour special about Make a Difference Day on Life with Lisa Bradshaw.
And now it's time for your local news update with Steve Hare.
Good morning and welcome to our Tuesday edition of NCW Life News. Here's what's happening around north central Washington. First of all, Waste Management's plans to import Canadian garbage to its East Wenatchee landfill was the subject of a Douglas County Commissioner's public hearing yesterday. The meeting was well attended, testimony being received at the Commissioner's Waterville chambers and from the county's East Wenatchee 19th Street Annex, standing room only at both venues. Steve Jenkins said the main issue revolves around potential threats to the tree fruit industry from trash hauled into the East Wenatchee area from outside.
Well, the transport of Canadian garbage, it'll come down through the port on the west side of the mountains and come down the I-5 corridor by railroad and then come into Quincy. If they can't get agreement with the Quincy port, which they don't have at this time, then they'll have to truck it, and so there lies the concern. So, and as I understand it, the pest protocol, according to the dissenting members of the TAC, there's things in place to handle any pests that are discovered once they were received here, but they should be treated in Canada prior to getting here. And
Now, Commissioner Jenkins said that public hearing has been continued to November 6th. That's when a final decision will be made. Between now and then, the commissioners say they'll want to discuss this matter in further detail with Quincy Port District commissioners and Okanagan County officials as well. Demonstrators are taking their anti-big bank protest to the streets of Wenatchee this week. The group, called Coalition Mazaska Talks, is prompting supporters to protest global banks during the international meetings that are taking place this week in Brazil. Now, the group targets banks that fund pipelines and oil extraction projects that infringe upon the rights of indigenous peoples and cause environmental tragedy, in their words. Now, the group will be out again tonight at Wells Fargo Bank on North Chelan Avenue. We met up with the group leader, Kevin Kane, and a character called Mr. Moneybags.
We're here today to call on the banks to stop funding climate change disaster, as well as stop funding tar sands pipelines that trample on indigenous people's rights across the globe. What we're doing is asking individuals, faith groups, corporations, businesses to move their money out of Wells Fargo or Chase banks to a bank or banking situation where they're not contributing to climate change crisis.
Fossil fuel man, he's pretty sad, isn't he? And the reason why he's sad is that he's got an addiction. And his addiction, you see that oil coming up there? He's sucking all the oil out of the entire earth. It took hundreds of millions of years for that oil to be locked into the earth. And now he and a lot of other people are taking it all out. And you know what that causes? That causes all the carbon to go up into the sky, and that creates kind of a shield, and then the earth gets hotter, we get hurricanes, we get wildfires, we get natural disasters, we get mudslides. It's terrible what's gonna happen. He's gotta curb his addiction. I don't know if we can get him to stop or not. Oh, he doesn't wanna stop. He keeps sucking. I don't know if we can ever make him stop, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try hard. This bank here behind us, Chase Bank, it's a bank that invests in tar sands oil, the dirtiest of all the oils, and also all of the pipelines that go. They invest heavily, millions, even billions of dollars. We want them to invest in renewables, so we're encouraging everybody to bank locally, to go to local banks and credit unions. It only makes sense because then you save the planet. And that's what I'm about. I'm glad to get my money out today from banks that need to stop investing in dirty fuels. That's what I have to say. I hope you have a very good day.
Well, that was a protest yesterday in Wenatchee. The group will focus its attention to a Chase Bank in East Wenatchee later today. Mr. Moneybags. Huh? Well, in the end, the voters will decide if the Eastmont School District should change the name of Robert E. Lee Elementary School. School board heard testimony last night from both sides of that argument during a public hearing at a packed junior high school auditorium last night.
And we're embarrassed about how we might have been in our historical past. What about just worrying about yourselves and your present time attitudes? And quit worrying about being embarrassed about the insignificant things when people in that era that we're discussing were doing the best they could with what they had. General Lee was highly respected by the North as well as the South. And this whole thing of making it a racial issue is just a cop-out to keep people emotionally involved in this society.
To have kids, our kids, it is our job as parents to teach them about the history, but leave it as history. There are, personally, I have 12 kids here, and out of those kids, they've been called racist names. I can't even count as high how many times. And usually it's the backdrop of Lee School. They can go there and play basketball. I live right up the street. And if we spend more time teaching our kids better manners, proper respect for a person's culture and their race, this issue wouldn't even be taking place. Get rid of the name, change it, I guarantee there's somebody in the state, in this area, who is well more deserving than a Confederate slave owner.
In all, 16 people testified at that hearing, followed by board discussion. Now, 5 of the 7 board members were in favor of changing the name, but instead of taking action at last night's meeting, the panel instead has opted to put the issue before school district voters at an election yet to be set next year. Rounding out the 3 races for Leavenworth City Council in this election is the position 6 seat. The 2 men vying for the position are Tibor Locke, who served 3 terms on the council, and political newcomer Clint Strand. Locke is a 58-year-old. He served on the council from 2002 to 2016, also a former chair of the City Public Works and a former member of the Finance and Economic Development Committee. Locke, a downtown business owner, says he hopes to bridge the gap between resident concerns and tourism needs. Says when you talk about sales tax, lodging tax, and all other entities that go into the city budget, tourism, he says, is the main driver to help grow the city. Meanwhile, Clint Strand, a 40-year-old, he's a former broadcaster for Coho Radio, currently the communications and public relations specialist at Confluence Health. He's a member of the Leavenworth Citizens Advisory Committee. Strand said he feels his extensive communication background will be an asset in relating to the dynamic between the Leavenworth downtown business core and the residents who make Leavenworth their home, and to make sure that both sides are heard. Later today on NCW Live Evening News with Grant Olson, we profile the 2 candidates running for the position 6 seat on the Chelan City Council. They are Cameron Skip Morehouse and Tim Hollingsworth. Well, the Wenatchee area has participated in the National Make a Difference Day now for 25 years with the tradition of see a need, do a good deed. With the October 28th event approaching, we'll highlight several local projects that you can participate in this Make a Difference Day. Today we're featuring a group that will send homemade feminine products to girls who need them around the world.
Days for Girls was actually started by a Western Washington woman, Celeste Mergens, in 2008. And she was at that time doing community development work in Africa. And she learned that girls in one particular orphanage there had 2 choices when they were having their menstrual periods. Either they could sit on a piece of cardboard in their dormitories for about a week, or they could trade sexual favors with their male teachers and administrators for disposal products. And that is not okay.
Simply because they had no access to...
They had no access to other products at all. And so in a response to that need, she started to develop a washable, reusable feminine hygiene kit that girls could use. It's very important that these girls stay in school, for one thing. And when you have to drop out of school or leave school for a week every month, pretty soon girls get discouraged and they just stop attending school. And statistics show that the more education a girl gets, the better off her current and future families will be, her community prospers, and even the national economy improves if you can even provide 1 year of extra school for these girls. Okay, so our Make a Difference Day project will be held at the chapel of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints at 667 10th Street in East Wenatchee, and we'll be meeting from 10 until 2. The church really supports our efforts by giving us meeting space and storage space, which is just critical to us because we've always got our projects in a variety of stages. So from 10 to 2, people can come any of that time or all of that time. We aren't providing any lunch that day.
Okay, you're on your own.
Yes, because you have to eat away from the fabrics. So
A sharp pair of scissors.
sharp pair of scissors would be good. People who have sewing skills are welcome to bring sewing machines and sergers.
And they don't look terribly complicated to make.
The shields can be a little more complicated to make than the liners, of course. And but people who quilt are really good at this. They have very narrow seams on them and top stitching. So people who are quilters, women who quilt, do a really good job of making these.
Kathy Irving with her project, and Dan, you had a chance to talk to a lot of the organizers of these various projects, and Saturday, of course, is the big day, Make a Difference Day, coming up.
Headquarters, again, is the Pybus Public Market, and there's one item that we didn't mention. The Our Valley, Our Future project will be releasing their final report for 2017, also on Make a Difference Day at Pybus. So
Absolutely.
that group is doing good work. Will be down there as well.
We got more news coming up, 5 o'clock with Grant Olson on NCW Life News. In the meantime, check out this below me here right now. There's where you can contact us. If you have news breaking or any ideas for news stories, just call 888-NCWL. That's 888-6295. Get through to me and we'll work out some news stories.
It's Eastmont and Wenatchee rivalry week in the world of prep sports. The Wenatchee Panthers and the Eastmont Wildcats will do battle on the pitch. They'll do battle on the volleyball court, and on Friday night they'll do battle on the gridiron. We'll talk about that and a whole bunch more when we do sports, which is right around the corner. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live from Studio 4 on the NCW Life channel.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is State Representative Kerry Condata inviting you to check out our newest show on the NCW Life channel. We call it the 12th District. Each week, we'll be taking an in-depth look at various political issues that affect our area, our state, and the world. We'll be featuring local and statewide experts on the subject matter at hand. Please join us weekly for the 12th District with yours truly, Kerry Condata. Check your channel guide for times or go to ncwlife.com for details.
Hey folks, Carrie from Blueberry Hills in Manson. It's blueberry picking season and King 5 named us the second best destination restaurant in Washington State. So toss the family in the cruiser and get on out to Blueberry Hills for the best down-home scratch country cooking you've had in years. And don't forget our award-winning pies. We're fun, family-friendly, and a delicious destination year-round. We're open every day from 8 to 3, serving breakfast and lunch all day. So come on out to Blueberry Hills.
22 minutes after the hour, live from Studio 7 here in downtown Wenatchee. Let's do sports for this Tuesday, and it's a full slate of action. We'll begin in soccer. On the pitch tonight, Cascade is at Chelan. That's a 4 o'clock start there. Manson will take on Orville. Cashmere will be at Okanagan, and Wenatchee will be across the river to take on the Eastmont Wildcats. It'll be live right here on the NCW Life channel. Our own Sebastian Moraga and Matt Wisen will have the call. The Panthers have already secured the regular season Big Nine title. So they're already in. They await the play-in games to determine a first-round district opponent next week. The Wildcats, on the other hand, trying to solidify 4th place. That would get them a home play-in game this Saturday. After tonight, Eastmont will finish at Eisenhower on Thursday night. Currently, the Wildcats sit 2 games behind Moses Lake for 3rd place, just a game in front of Davis at 5th place. Again, that is live tonight on the NCW Life channel. On the volleyball courts, there is your schedule. And, of course, whenever Thorpe Easton takes on Aniad in volleyball, you can just throw the records right out the window there. Orville is a Manson, Cascade Chelan. And again, there we go, Eastmont at Wenatchee. Our own Eric Grandstrom, along with Leanne Brandon, will be there with cameras. We'll tape it for a later playback. The Panthers have already locked down the number 2 seed heading into the Big Nine District Tournament, but the Wildcats are still battling for the number 3 seed. Eastmont is currently a game in front of Eisenhower, whom they'll host Thursday night in the regular season finale. A 3rd place finish would mean the Wildcats would host a play-in game next Wednesday. Also today, the Wenatchee Panther girls slow pitch softball team is in the Yakima Valley. This is the Big Nine's tournament. After games at 2:30, they narrow it down to the district championship game. That'll be at 4:30. Wenatchee finished as the regular season league champs. They were 14-2, a game in front of 13-3 Moses Lake. Just a reminder, we'll be at the Apple Bowl Friday night for our own live tailgate party on the NCW Life channel. There they are. There's Eric and there's Grant. They'll be hosting our live Bridge of Sportsmanship pregame show Friday. Leib-off field at the Apple Bowl will begin at 6:30. We'll bring you the sights and the sounds of the annual clash between the Panthers and the Wildcats, leading right up to the 7 o'clock kickoff. By the way, if you want to get your tickets early for the game, which is always a partial sellout, be sure to stop by the athletic office of both schools this week. Seahawks coach Pete Carroll said Monday after reviewing the game film of Sunday's victory over the Giants, he was surprised about how the first half looked compared to the lack of production on the scoreboard.
As it didn't seem like we were doing as much offensively in the first half, we really moved the ball really well. And a lot of stuff was working, and guys were blocking well and running hard. And we made enough mistakes that kept setting us back. But when we got down to settling in the second half, it showed up that we were able to move the football and felt pretty good about it, and turned out a pretty good game. The numbers in the game were really, pretty lopsided, and so you can see it when you watch the film. We did some good things. So it was a good game for us, good trip, to go out there and get a win and come back. And it's a long ways from home, and our guys handled it really well and played hard and tough and did what we needed to get done. Defense played a great football game and across the board, and special teams added to that. So it was a really good effort all in all, with stuff to clean up. And we were a little raggedy coming out of the bye, I guess, and hopefully we can put some of that behind us.
Center Justin Britt sprained his ankle during the game. That forced Ethan Posick to move from guard to center for a few plays and then back to guard when Britt returned. Pete Carroll says he's very pleased with Posick's performance.
Ethan's a very special player now for a rook to come in here and be able to play all across the board and do all that he can do and hang in there and make calls and communicate well and play good solid football. That's a lot to ask of him, and we're not slowing down on it. We're going to continue to hold him responsible for all that stuff because he can do it. But it was why we were so excited about drafting him. We were hoping that he would be that guy, and he has been that.
There was a bit of a dust up on the sidelines during the first half. You might have seen this. Doug Baldwin and offensive line coach Tom Cable got into each other's faces a little bit. Carroll said it was quickly resolved, but he said, hey, it's my fault. I set a rather intense atmosphere for the team.
The emotional stuff that happened on the sidelines was very quick and went. We went right through it and got to our business. Doug was very forthright about saying he made a mistake and erred there, and that's not the way we want to handle stuff. But it was such a quick little exchange. I thought Tom was beautifully handled it and was very poised about it and kept us right back on track and got us to the business at hand, and which everybody did. But this is an emotional team, and we've seen that over the years. And I think I probably stoked that as much as anybody. So I'm the one at fault at sometimes putting us at our wits' end. But we got to learn to operate like that, because sometimes that's just where you go.
The Seahawks will be hosting Houston on Sunday afternoon at CenturyLink Field, kickoff at 1 o'clock. And here we go, game one of the 113th edition of the World Series. 5 o'clock this afternoon, first pitch, Dodgers and Astros in Los Angeles, California. Dallas Keuchel will go for Houston. Clayton Kershaw gets the ball for the Dodgers. Fox TV, the home of the World Series. I can't wait. I'm ready for it. 27 minutes after the hour. It's the 24th day of October, your obscure holiday of the day today. It's National Bologna Day. My bologna has a first name. It's O-S-C-A-R. My bologna has a second name. It's M-E-Y-E-R. Bologna. It's spelt that way. It's pronounced bologna. Don't get that wrong. There's all kinds of different bologna, of course. Bologna is a sausage, essentially, but there's all kinds of different bologna. It's not just regular bologna. You got German bologna, kosher bologna, and beef bologna, and all that stuff. All kinds of different stuff. Moms, of course, are familiar with bologna. Kids are familiar with bologna. Some of us are full of bologna, for that matter. Have yourself a bologna sandwich on this National Bologna Day. Insert your own joke here. 28 minutes after the hour, today in history. It occurred to me as I looked this up, if Annie Edison Taylor didn't actually survive going over Niagara Falls in a barrel, none of the nonsense over the following 116 years would never have happened, but she did. It was her birthday, her 63rd birthday. October 24th, 1901, she wanted to do a stunt to draw attention for herself, so Annie Edison Taylor, who was an educator and should have known better, became the first person to go over Niagara Falls in a barrel. She survived. She later said, "It's the dumbest thing anybody could ever do. I should have never, ever done it. Don't do it." People didn't pay any attention to Annie Edison Taylor, who went over Niagara Falls in a barrel and lived to tell the tale 116 years ago. 88 years ago, October 24th, 1929, oops, we got a problem. Black Thursday, which preceded Black Friday, the stock market crash on the New York Stock Exchange. The New York Stock Exchange went down, the Dow Jones Industrials went down, it was a major problem. People went, uh-oh, they tried to do a quick fix, that didn't work. Then came Black Friday, and then came 12 years that were known as the Great Depression. It all began on this date 88 years ago. The world's busiest bridge, by far, by none, the George Washington Bridge, opened to the public on this date in 1931. 103 million vehicles cross the George Washington Bridge every year. That makes it the world's busiest motor vehicle bridge. My favorite tidbit about the George Washington Bridge, which opened 86 years ago today, gives you an idea of the importance of the occasion. It costs $15. That's the toll to go from New Jersey to Manhattan. has no cost at all to drive from Manhattan to New Jersey. George Washington Bridge opened 86 years ago today. And most people don't remember this, but I did. It was 40 years ago that Veterans Day was last observed on the fourth Monday in October for the seventh and final time. Between 1971 and 1977, that was the case. We celebrated Veterans Day not on November 11th, but whatever the fourth Monday in October was. We did that for 7 years in the 1970s for reasons unknown. Beginning in 1978, Veterans Day returned to where it's supposed to be, which is always on November 11th. But for a period in the 1970s, we did not celebrate Veterans Day on Veterans Day. Glad they got that figured out. And at 30 minutes after the hour, one more item of business to get to, birthdays. Birthdays for this October 24th. The Big Bopper, he was born J.P. Richardson, known professionally, of course, as the Big Bopper. The singer, songwriter, and guitarist. His big hit that most people associated with him was Chantilly Lace, but he was also a great songwriter. He wrote the #1 hit, White Lightnin'. For George Jones, he wrote Running Bear, which was a huge #1 hit. Little Red Riding Hood. These were all songs that J.P., the Big Bopper Richardson, actually wrote. Of course, on February 3rd, 1959, he perished in a plane crash that also took the lives of Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the pilot Roger Peterson, the Big Bopper, born on this date in 1930. He was the bass guitarist for the Rolling Stones for quite some time. Bill Wyman, he's no longer associated. Oh, there's F. Murray Abraham. Let's do F. Murray Abraham first. I like him. F. Murray Abraham, the actor, the producer. Of course, he won the Academy Award for Amadeus in 1984, and I got to meet him because, of course, back in the 90s when they filmed the movie Surviving the Game, which was filmed right here in the Wenatchee Valley in the Lake Wenatchee area. F. Murray Abraham came into my store, came into my record store, bought some CDs. We had a nice conversation. He was a nice guy. I said, "Can I call you F?" He said no. F. Murray Abraham, the American actor, 78 years old today. I don't know if we have Bill Wyman's picture up there or not. If we don't, there's Bill. Bill Wyman, the singer, songwriter, bass player, producer. Bill Wyman, the oldest member of the Rolling Stones, 81 years old today. Of course, he's no longer with the group. He left the Rolling Stones back in 1993. And he said then, and he says now, I'm in my 80s. I should be playing rock and roll. Bill Wyman, the former bassist for the Rolling Stones, is 81 years old today. Wow, what a great first segment. And we got an even better segment coming up. First of all, everyone is entitled to Mike Magnotti's opinion. That's right around the corner. Mike's topic today is celebrity endorsements. Celebrity endorsements. That'll be fascinating. Then we'll be talking to Jessica Arroyo, the Health Alliance Northwest Community Liaison, and Mariah Brown, the Confluence Health Education Coordinator. We're going to be talking about what you need to know if you're 65 and older. It's that time of the year again. All of that when we come back. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
The 2017 Ski-Doo Summit sleds. Next generation REV platform. The most powerful two-stroke engine in the industry. For the unmatched handling and power to own the next side hill, the next drop, the next ride. Ski-Doo. What matters is what's next.
Is this really what we're gonna do on our girls' night out?
We should go to Club Crow. The bar and grill in Cashmere?
Yeah, let's go.
Looking for a fun-filled, friendly hometown atmosphere? Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere is the place to be. Hi, this is Justin. Here at Club Crow, we have full bar and restaurant, live music, a dance floor, pool tables, pull tabs, and live jam sessions the first Sunday of every month. Club Crow in Cashmere, the coolest place in town.
This is the NCW Life Community Calendar brought to you by First Choice Collision Center. Make a difference Saturday, October 28 from 9 a.m. to noon by joining Wenatchee River Institute to help spruce up Barn Beach Reserve in Leavenworth. Projects planned include tree trimming, pruning, raking, garden debris removal, and painting. Tools are provided and be sure to bring gloves. For more information and other community events, visit ncwlife.com.
Ryder who had the reception, and now he collects the touchdown. Got on goal, Wenatchee scores. Riggin lines up the three. Yes! Oh my goodness! To figure out where the line is, where they'll cover from. West fighting on the bottom, and he got the pin. Swung on and hit hard to left field. Caught out there in left field. Yes! Game over. And Wenatchee
NCW Life Channel, your local TV station.
Hey there, Wenatchee. I'm Sean Lee, and I'm inviting you to come down and check out what we're all about at Badger Mountain Brewing.
Great beer, good food, and an endless source of entertainment for the whole family. Our Honey Blonde beer is flying off the shelves at your local grocery store. But I tell you what, it's even better on tap. And while you're here, try our signature Badger sauce with one of our delicious meals. Whether you're in the mood for a wrap, salad, pizza, or nachos, Badger Mountain Brewing has what you're looking for.
I'm Eric Grandstrom, host of Let's Learn here on the NCW Life Channel, a program where we learn about different topics. And on this particular series, it's Death and Die. It's a conversation that no one wants to have, but we're going to have it right here on the NCW Life Channel. So you're dead. Now what? We're going to learn all about the choices you have and the decisions you need to make. It's Let's Learn on the NCW Life Channel.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, so a business person wants to advertise his or her business, and they hire some famous person like, I don't know, Bozo the Clown. And Bozo says, hey, I'm Bozo, and my good friend so-and-so is the person you should trust to buy your next used car from. Something like that. Now, my question is, does said business person really believe that the rest of us are just dumb bunnies? And we're going to think that they and Bozo are these really great buds, and Bozo's endorsing words are not really only something that the business person paid Bozo to say? I mean, come on. You know, it's bad enough that politicians assume that we're stupid. Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and that's my opinion.
NCW Life News, I'm Grant Olson.
Of the NCW Life Legislative Hotline, I'm Steve Hare.
I'm Eric Grandstrom with NCW Life Sports.
And now, your weather forecast for north central Washington.
We're here at the downtown fire station right now.
Dry and warm weather pattern for Friday.
Considering that we're supposed to be 103 degrees today, how do you keep these guys cool?
And this just in, traffic is slowed in the Orondo area as firefighters attack a brush fire.
Right here on NCW Life News.
It's a spectacular good time all month long in Kashmir. Scarecrows will be waiting for you throughout the town. Silly ones, spooky ones, and everything in between. Yes, it's Scare Crazy in Kashmir. Bring the family and find the scarecrows all around Kashmir. And be sure to stop by these fine sponsors. The Antique Mall at Kashmir. Come find your treasure. And Club Crow Bar and Grill, home of the blues, brews, and barbecue.
Brent Crowder here at Town Nissan. Come on down to Town Nissan and help us celebrate the best-selling SUV in America today, the 2017 Nissan Rogue, along with its big brother, the Nissan Murano, and the beautiful Maxima, and the all-new Nissan Titan, and the all-new Nissan Armada. Come down and see us and see why we are the fastest-growing car company in America today. Come down and see us at Town Nissan behind Costco in East Wenatchee.
And we are back at 39 minutes after the hour, live from Studio 7 here in downtown Wenatchee. It's the annual election period, and no, I'm not talking about politics. That's another topic altogether. It's time to decide what your Medicare Advantage plan is going to be. It's very critical for those folks who are 65 years and older. And joining me in set right here, to my immediate left is Jessica Arroyo, correctly, and to my far left is Mariah Brown. Jessica, your title is?
I am the Community Liaison for Health Alliance Northwest.
Mariah?
And I am the Education Coordinator for the Accountable Care Department and within Confluence Health.
So this is now the annual election period. It's going on right now, right? It started October 15th. Most people 65 and older know this is going on.
That is correct. So anybody that's 65 or older, or they're disabled for over 2 years, they become Medicare eligible. So at this point is when they can start researching and see if they want to make a change in their
And
healthcare
hopefully
plan.
they probably started to do the research a couple of years ago, right?
Hopefully they started end of September, beginning of October. So once October 15th comes around, they're pretty knowledgeable of what they want to choose.
And for those people who just turned 65 and they're new to this process, what exactly do they have to know right now? I mean, okay, yeah, I know this is coming up, but I've been putting it off. Now I'm 65. What do I have to do? What do I have to do?
So we have resources like Mariah and myself out in the community, and just to know what Medicare is. What is Part A? What is Part B? How is my doctor involved? So, you know, just to have a conversation with either one of us would be very helpful to, you know, decipher all of the information they're getting in their mailboxes right now, because I'm sure they're have pretty full ones right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of information to disseminate, isn't there?
Yes, they're quite bombarded with information at this time.
And it can be confusing. There's professionals out there like you guys who can help walk them through the process. But eventually you're going to have to make a decision, right? One way or the other.
Yes.
And this is a system that we, as taxpayers or working people, have been paying into. So this is you've been paying into the system for decades, and now you're 65, and it's time to pull it right back out again.
Right, and since you mentioned that, so Medicare Part A, you paid into that while you were working, and most people don't pay for that. Medicare writes it out as 40 quarters or 10 years. So once you become Medicare eligible, your Part A is already paid for, and you wouldn't have to pay a premium for that.
What is in it for your organization, Health Alliance Northwest? I mean, I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there.
So for us, so Medicare has a lot of people to take care of. So when a Medicare Advantage comes into play, we're saying, hey, Medicare, we'll take care of this patient. And we follow your same guidelines. You wouldn't lose coverage from coming on with a Medicare Advantage plan. We have a network of providers like Confluence Health to work with, and we will give you that local care, that customized care for you with that doctor you know and trust. So again, you would not lose coverage for coming on with a Medicare Advantage plan or with Health Alliance.
And that's what your organization, the Health Alliance Northwest, where does Confluence fit into all this?
So Confluence Health is we want to see that the provider and the plan are working alongside each other, because you know that fragmented care, a lot of times people have their provider saying one thing and their plan saying another thing. So the wonderful thing about Medicare Advantage plans is that you are assigned a primary care provider that's going to help you navigate the system. And a Medicare Advantage plan really focuses on prevention and early detection of diseases, rather than the traditional illness and disease focus where it's like, you're sick, we're going to pay for it. There's really a focus on prevention, and there's different things in place to keep people healthy.
For those who are 65 and older, does the overall state of your health play a role in what plan you need to decide on?
Definitely, and that's when this time of year comes around, because your needs might be different. You might know you will have an inpatient stay or a couple outpatient services, physical therapy. So this is a time to just take a look again at your health and see, okay, is the current plan that I have right now, is it going to work for me, or do I need to make a change for the upcoming year?
And how does this dovetail if you already have an already existing health plan, like you're working and you're 65, so you're on your company's
so at that
insurance,
point,
that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we always try to refer them back to their benefit consultant at their organization, and even take in our information and say, hey, what would be better for me? Again, that's depending on your health, the cost of your plan, how often you utilize services. So we always do recommend to go back to your employer at that point, if you're still working at the age of 65, which is very common nowadays.
Okay.
People are still working.
Okay, but you need to assess your coverage. You need to, I mean, this is something you really need to do your homework. You need to understand what's going on. You just don't, what am I signing? Okay, thank you.
Correct, because the year comes around and you have to have services and you're like, okay, what's my coverage? And it comes as a surprise for you. And that's not what we want. We want to make sure that you read your benefits, read your policy, and I know it's not fun, so that's why we're here to promote and say, hey, we're here to help you. Health Alliance has an office here in Wenatchee across the street from Jack in the Box on 5th Street. There's reps always available for you to sit down and just kind of do the work for you and with you.
Can it be overwhelming? I mean, all the different choices and what do you, I mean, help, you know, does it?
Definitely. I mean, I see it all the time. And I always love when people come in October 1st and they are doing their homework. They take notes. It's a lot of information, even if it is just a big pull-out picture. So I always like to present the plan, and people call me 2-3 times because you don't remember to ask all the questions right when you're there. So it is overwhelming, even for us learning it to educate the community. It's a tough job.
And as the baby boomers reach retirement age and reach that 65, there's more and more people in that system than ever before, and that's not going to change, is it?
No, it's expected to increase and be the highest portion of provider volumes.
And that means you've probably picked a good career path there, young lady, Jessica, because your job essentially 20 years ago didn't exist, really?
No, not necessarily. And then Medicare Advantage plans are fairly new to everybody. I mean, traditionally, everyone's like, okay, I turn Medicare age, I'm going to go with a supplement plan. So now it's like, oh, we have options. You know, I can go this route or this route. So yeah, it's fairly new. So, and like you mentioned, the baby boomers now, they're doing their research. I mean, they're going online and they know what they want. And it's very, a Medicare Advantage plan is very safe just because it works just like your employer coverage. You just have that one card. You show it at your pharmacy and you show it at your doctor's office. So it's very comforting to know you know how that system works already.
And it gets you, if you have a medical issue, you can get it taken care of without worrying about a big, massive bill. I'll use my, the office healthcare plan as an example. It's tiers, basic tiers, and you pick the tier that you want, and basically the deductible applies at that point, and then, you know, at this point we kick in our deal. Does that work the same way as a tiered type system?
So with a Medicare Advantage plan, we don't have any medical deductibles or any pharmacy deductibles.
Okay. And that's important because prescription drugs are expensive.
Yes. So, you know, we start paying day one.
Cool. I can't wait to turn 65. So you two are you working in concert with each other, or?
Yes, we do. My role is primarily to educate the providers and staff, both within Confluence Health and also our external provider partners, so that they are aware of everything that's going on and they can educate their patients and be a resource. Because it's one thing to educate consumers and, you know, the community and have them know, but if their providers at their doctor's office don't know about it, then it's even more confusing for them.
Does it change year after year after year after year? Is everything different every year?
I mean, there's things that, that may change, but it's mostly just having the general understanding, the baseline understanding. A lot of our, you know, our providers don't even know the basics between a traditional Medicare and a Medicare Advantage plan. So again, like we said before, if it's confusing for us, think about how it is for those that are trying to navigate the system and they're 65.
But there's an advantage of you two being teammates, so to speak, right?
Definitely, yeah. And so how she mentioned she does the internal for providers, my role is to go out in the community and provide that education. So I do travel between our 4 counties, Chelan, Douglas, Grant, and Okanagan County, and offer that education. I actually have a menu of all those presentations, you know, just to go, okay, what's the difference between a Medicare Advantage plan and a supplement plan? You know, I educate more on fraud, downsize and declutter. So we do tag team a lot. You know, if a question comes up, we try to figure it out and make sure that, you know, we put those questions to rest and make sure they have the right information.
It started on October 15th, and you have until December 7th to make up your mind if you do it on December 8th. We procrastinated too long. We'll talk more. We'll talk more with these two lovely young ladies when we come back. We're watching Wake Up in Anchi Valley on the NCW Live channel.
When it comes to tough, versatile workhorses, nothing compares to Kubota's full line of RTV series utility vehicles. Engineered to last and designed to deliver, Kubota's RTV-X series doesn't just lead the way on rugged dependability, it leads the pack. From big jobs to small projects and daily chores. Choose from America's top-selling family of diesel utility vehicles to help you do it all.
The Kubota dealer in North Central Washington is Valley Tractor and Equipment in the Bigger Flats Industrial Park, East Wenatchee.
Some things are better slow. Internet is not one of them. With local Tel-Fiber Internet, slow internet is history. Play movies and videos instantly in HD quality. Video chat without interruption. Download music or photos in seconds. And dominate in gaming with virtually no lag time, no matter how many devices are online. Experience gigabit internet. Call or visit LocalTel online to learn more.
The Arbiter of Stoke is a series that highlights a variety of outdoor adventure sports that are available in the Pacific Northwest. I dedicate my time to enjoying this natural playground. The decision is yours. How will you keep your Stoke?
Life is about memories and lasting impressions. With Boswell's expansive 2-story showroom of quality home furnishings, you'll find everything you need to create a home to remember. Need assistance? From fabric options and complimentary design service to complete home makeovers, Glenn, Buffy, and Teresa are there to guide you. Come into Boswell's and find inspiration and comfort for every room in your home. Boswell's on Easy Street. It's closer than you think.
And we are back at 51 minutes after the hour, live here from Studio 15 in downtown Wenatchee. We're talking to Jessica and Mariah. We're talking about enrollment time again for your Medicare Advantage plan. Where do people, well, I'll ask you specifically, most people are pretty computer literate nowadays. Where should they go to do their research before they make up from an online basis?
Online, they would go to healthalliancemedicare.org. You have an option to put in your zip code of your location, and it will give you all of the plan information for where you live.
And you should do that before.
Yes, before December 7th.
Okay.
Do it now.
Do it now. And is it? We talked about this beginning. For most people, is it fairly easy to grasp, or is it so much I got to sit down with Jessica and figure this out?
Most people like to sit down, and that's something that we really thrive on. Our local office, where you can go in there and take your book and have that face-to-face conversation, go through scenarios and decipher that. We do have quite a few members that can do it over the phone or online as well.
Once you're in the system, you've already done this. You're 68 or 69, and you've already been making these decisions for a few years, so you just go, okay, just do it again, rubber stamp it, we're done. Is it, or does every year you have to do this all over again?
So if you're on with Health Alliance Medicare Advantage plan and you're a current member with us and you're happy with the changes, you don't have to do anything. It just automatically starts again January 1st.
But if you want to make changes, this is the time you have to do it.
This is the time to do it, and again, before December 7th.
Before December 7th. You like the job? How did you get the job?
So I was in member services before, so I would be the one answering the phone when you had any benefit questions, claim questions, whatever it is. And then I've been in my role for about a year now. So
you like it?
I love it.
Cool. Same question. How did you land this gig?
I just moved here in May, so
welcome to Wenatchee.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am still quite new to all of it, and I just wanted to come down and work at Confluence Health, and I thought this was a perfect
Where did you move from?
opportunity. I'm originally from Orville.
Oh, okay.
But I was living in Curlew the past 2 years.
Oh, that toddling town, Curlew.
Yes.
I'm telling you, what a crazy nightlife.
The village. The village.
So you're familiar with the Wenatchee Valley anyway?
Yes.
You weren't out in the middle.
Yes.
Well, actually, Curlew was out in the middle.
I was in the middle of nowhere, but yes, very familiar. This was like the big city when we were, growing up. It was come to Wenatchee and it's the big city.
You have a whole bunch of pharmacies written down here for me to look at. What's your relationship with these folks? Good stuff?
So these pharmacies I'm going to talk about, they're considered our preferred pharmacies. And what that means is if you have a Tier 1 medication and you go to any Walgreens or Safeway, you would get them at no cost. And we also have some local pharmacies, which is a nice added perk for us to emphasize on that local customer service. So we have Doan's Pharmacy in Cashmere. We also have Village Pharmacy in Leavenworth, the OMAC Pharmacy in OMAC, and the Okanagan Valley Pharmacy in Okanagan, and Roy's Pharmacy in Tenasket. Okay. Again, the same benefits apply if you have a Tier 1 medication. You go to any of these pharmacies I just listed, and you get your Tier 1 at no cost.
Are there any pharmacies in Curlew?
No, there is a Republic Pharmacy. It's actually a Republic drugstore, but nothing in Curlew. Nothing in Curlew.
The relationship with you two, does it work out good? I mean, this is an advantage, right? I mean, we're having you
It
two.
really is. Even when members come in, I mean, just in Confluence Health in general, the members used to be the middleman between the health plan and the provider. And with this partnership that Health Alliance Northwest and Confluence have is that you do have that established relationship between each other. I mean, it's still very defined. You know, we are still the health plan and they are still the provider, but we have the access of calling the provider and be like, hey, can we take a look at this claim? Can we take a look at this bill? Which is the most common question. And members have that trust in us and the trust and confidence that we're working together and speaking to each other and not have them be the middle person anymore.
Can anybody 65 and older do this on their own, or they really need to go to a professional like you guys?
They can do it on their own, but again, we have that resource. We're that resource. So if there's just any doubt or any question you have, we're here to help. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Well, to that end, I guess the next question is, how much does it cost?
So we have, it ranges between the plan. Typically, we are less expensive than a Medicare supplement plan, and we also have pharmacy coverage. So again, it depends on your needs of how much it's going to cost you and how much you utilize the services.
Okay, and you're not the only game in town. There are other there are the professionals in your line of work.
Yes.
And I've worked with almost all of them. They all seem to be good at what they do. In the end, the bottom line is it's the client's best interests that come at heart, right? I mean, that's the bottom line.
Yes.
That's the most important thing.
Very much so.
So, do your homework, go online, do your homework. If you have any questions, talk to you.
Yes, or Mariah.
Or Mariah.
Yes.
So, do you guys have the same kind of information? I know you have slightly, you diverge, and yet you also...
So mine is actually more so, I have like resource cards available at patient services. So say someone meets with their doctor and they may have questions in the doctor's visit, and their doctor can say, okay, well, go to patient services and she will give you a resource card, and that has my information on the back, which they are then able to contact me, and then I can direct them to the appropriate resource. So maybe they don't want Medicare Advantage and they want to know more about a Medicare savings program or something else, and I can kind of direct them to the right person to help them with their situation. So that's kind of how we have the Confluence Health angle to all of this.
You have until December 7th. As it gets closer to December 7th, have you haven't done it yet? You haven't made up your mind, or you going to start getting phone calls? We're going to say, you got to do this? Or what happens on December 8th if you didn't do it at all?
On December 8th, again, it's too late. So it has to be on or before December 7th to make that change. But again, we have our local office. We have representatives there. I'm there. Just go in and seek information. I mean, we do go through the plan very thoroughly, and we have a conversation. So we understand we're not the plan for everybody, but at least you're doing your research and seeing what your options are out there, because that's your time to make a choice.
And it's not just making a choice, it's making an informed choice. And that's the most important thing, is it not?
Yes.
I mean, it's just, I just want to get this over with because I got a tea time and whatever. Just give me a plan, I'll be out of here. How do people get a hold of you, Jessica?
So you can give us a call at 877-561-1463, and you can ask. It will ring directly here to Wenatchee, and if it does roll over to somewhere else, you can have them transfer you back to us. To our voicemail, we can give you a call back. Come into our office. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. No appointment is needed. Again, there's always somebody there available. And again, you can go online to healthalliancemedicare.org.
And take the time and do your homework, and you'll be much better off, and you're going to get the right plan for you, which is the most important thing. We can't stress that enough.
Right.
Is it basically, are you focusing your attention on those who are going into the system 65 and older, or is that your number one focus, or is it just?
It's everybody.
Okay.
Again, because your needs change year after year, so what you have now might not work for you next year. So it's anybody who, again, is 65 or older, or has been disabled for over 2 years and you are now on Medicare. So anyone that's new or current, even if you think you know, look at your annual notice of change that your plan sends you, and reassess and see, oh, did that go up too much, or is my doctor still covered? I mean, it's just to look at everything again.
And is that you had to turn 65 during this calendar year in 2017? Is that it, or is there, what's the? When we say 65, what do we mean by that?
So 65, the month of your birthday. So the month of that you turn 65, that's when you become Medicare eligible. Right now, which is October 15th through December 7th, it's anyone that is Medicare eligible.
That makes perfect sense.
Yes.
I learned a lot. Yes.
Glad.
When I turn 65, I'm calling these gals. Of course, you'll still be in your 20s probably. Say hi to all my friends in Curlew, all right? Captain Edgar Reinfeldt will be my guest tomorrow. Have a great Tuesday. Bye-bye.